So I've had my Model 3 for 3 years now, which is crazy. It's the longest I've ever actually owned a car. I wanted to share my experience over those 3 years, share what I love and hate about it. I've done over 25,000 miles in it as well. So I have the Model 3 Performance, which is surprisingly still quite rare to see on the road. I took delivery of the car in December 2019 and I paid £55,000 for the car with this spec, which included the midnight silver, which is pretty much grey, let's be honest, and the white interior. The same car with the same options now costs around £60,000. I did not pick the full self-driving capability when I bought the car, and I had a few comments in my first video of people saying that that would be a big mistake, that, you know, the price that it's going for right now is well worth it. Well, boy, am I laughing now, because even now, 3 years later, full self-driving, we're not even really close to it in the UK. I feel like we're quite far away actually. So I saved a lot of money. I feel sorry for the people who have bought full self-driving and haven't had it delivered. Like, it just hasn't been delivered. Yeah, what a waste of money. I'm really glad I didn't spend the money on that. From looking at the price tag of it now, it's actually going for £6,800, which is absurd because you're paying that much money for something that doesn't even work to its full capability. It really is such a waste of money. My car, as you can see, has been wrapped. It was wrapped 2 weeks after I had bought the car. It's wrapped in 3M satin dark grey. I specifically wanted a wrap that looks like it could be a factory option, and this does exactly that. 3 years later, the wrap is still in great condition. I've had no issues. The only thing I do have is things like stone chips and a few scuffs here and there from everyday driving, but I'm glad all of those things are on the wrap and not on the paint itself. So let's first go through some of the things I don't like about this car. The windscreen wipers. So the windscreen wipers on this car are the worst windscreen wipers I've ever seen. They are so bad on this car. They just seem to have an absolute mind of their own, mainly because the sensor that's in the windscreen isn't actually a sensor. It's using a camera, so it's not using the typical sensor that you'd see in other cars. And yeah, what a big mistake by Tesla, because it just has a complete mind of its own. Sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's fast, but it's not fast and slow when you need it to be. So it really is just a pain in the butt. I'd say it only gets it right around 50% of the time. Because my model doesn't have the heat pump as well, the range does plummet in the winter. This is just one of the downsides to owning an electric car. They just don't do great in cold conditions. The wind noise at 70 miles per hour is also just quite noticeable, though they have rectified this, fixed this on the newer models. Since my last review, I have had a couple of issues which I've written down here. I had a recall on the front upper control arm ball joints. Yeah, I think that's it. Didn't render the car undrivable. The car was definitely drivable. All that happened was that when I was driving at slow speed, sort of going around corners or whatever, it would just make a sort of creaking sound, but they fixed it completely free of charge, and they also gave me a courtesy car whilst it was getting fixed. Didn't really take long. The 12-volt battery also for some odd reason was low. This was again replaced for free. They actually came out to my house and replaced it on the drive. I didn't even have to go anywhere. So yeah, really nice and convenient. I didn't have to pay for that either. Other than that, my particular car has been issue free. It's been amazingly reliable actually. I know there are some stories out there of people who don't have very reliable Model 3s, but mine has been completely fine. And I also think to myself, you know, naturally the people who have the issues are going to be the most vocal. The amount of Model 3s that are being sold, I feel like the people who are having issues is still quite a small number, but Tesla are usually quite good at fixing them, from what I've heard anyway, from talking to other people. But yeah, obviously you can sometimes just get unlucky. I also still don't like how pretty much everything is on the touchscreen. To do most things with the car, you have to touch the touchscreen, which when you're driving just doesn't make sense. I think things like the aircon controls especially should be physical buttons, because those are the buttons I'm always pressing the most. Same with the windscreen wipers. I think there should be some sort of dial or something to just adjust the windscreen wipers without having to go to the screen. I really don't like how so many cars are just going into touchscreens. I think buttons and stuff in cars really just makes a lot more sense. So I'm hoping that this fad goes away, because it does seem to be going away in some new modern cars. People have realized, oh, actually buttons are better. So yeah, hopefully it goes the other way. Now let's get on to what I love about my Model 3. So the white leather. The white leather has held up incredibly well. It hasn't faded as far as I can tell, and when it does mark, it's super easy to clean. I just use a damp cloth. It helps that it's not real leather as well. Real leather would soak in any oils or marks, making it much tougher to keep clean. The seats as well are very comfortable and very soft. It's almost like sitting on a sofa. Whenever I have friends on the car, they always comment on how comfortable the seats are in this car. The speed. So until you drive a car like this, it is really hard to explain what it's like having electric speed rather than petrol speed. It's just so addictive, especially in this performance model that does 0 to 60 in like 3.2, 3.1 seconds. That speed is so addictive. Even 3 years later, I am not bored of the acceleration that this car delivers.
Get ready.
Being able to zip around silently without fuss is also heavily underrated for daily driving. I'd even argue that the acceleration, the speed that this car has, technically makes it safer, because when you're joining roundabouts, when you're joining the highway, the motorway on a slip road, when you're joining onto a road, matching the speed or just sort of getting in line with traffic, it's just so much safer. You know, you don't want to be waiting for the car to build up speed. You just want to be able to just go. So I actually think if you can handle the speed, it's technically just makes it safer to drive. It also handles better than I expected, mainly because the batteries are really low. Now, of course, it's not going to handle like something like a Porsche or something, definitely not, because it's not as light as those cars. This car is still a heavy car. But for everyday driving, when I do want to do some spirited driving into corners and stuff, I feel very sort of confident driving this car. I know what it's capable of, I know what it's not capable of, and yeah, the handling in this thing, I think for its weight, for its size, it is impressive. The silence. So look, I love loud cars. My other car is a V8 with a crazy exhaust. It sounds absolutely incredible. I do love loud cars. But when it comes to everyday driving, I do think something like this just makes a lot more sense. Up to 70 miles per hour, whether it's sort of city driving or highway driving or whatever, being able to just listen to music, really comfortable, really quiet, it is really, really nice. It's just almost like a serene experience. It's hard to explain until you get in an electric car. The visibility in this car is something that I didn't realize would be amazing until I started driving it. The windscreen, the windows, apart from the rear, the visibility all around the car is so good. The bonnet as well is really nice and low, so I can see the end of the bonnet. Just makes everyday driving a lot easier. And of course there's parking sensors and stuff as well, cameras all around. Driving it around in a city like London, where the roads can be tight, where parking can be tight, yeah, I have no issues with this car. Even though it's not really a small hatchback, it's actually quite a big car. It is a saloon car at the end of the day. But yeah, visibility, absolutely incredible, very underrated. And when you get into other cars, you realize how high their dashes have to be because they have to have an engine. So yeah, the low dash on this is really, really nice. Autopilot. So autopilot is included with every Tesla, and it is just awesome. Other cars have started catching up, but yeah, autopilot, I feel like I actually find it difficult to drive a car that doesn't now have traffic sort of aware cruise control. It's actually really, really hard, because this thing, autopilot, I'll bang it into autopilot, I'll be on the highway or whatever, it will stay in lane, it will monitor the traffic in front. It makes highway driving just so much easier, makes my life so much easier. I can just focus on the music, I can focus on my surroundings, I don't have to pay so much attention to what's going on in front of me. But yeah, autopilot, absolutely amazing feature, highly recommend it. What is going on? Why is it raining now? What's going on? British weather is ridiculous. Over-the-air updates. So Tesla has definitely changed the game when it comes to software updates. In the past, you would have had to take your car for a service, into the service center, garage, whatever it is, to get an update, or they would require you to buy a whole new car to get any new features. Tesla are completely different. If it doesn't require hardware, usually you just get an update for completely for free. So I've had new features, new apps, new UI changes and all that sort of stuff included completely for free over the last 3 years, which is really nice to see. It's quite unique to Tesla, one of the best features about it. But other car manufacturers have now caught on. They've realized, you know, this is actually a nice feature to give customers. So yeah, we'll see if other car manufacturers do it as much as Tesla, but Tesla are still well far ahead. One pedal driving. So with the regen on its max setting in this car, you can technically drive this car without ever having to touch the brake pedal, which is awesome because your foot can just stay on the gas, and as soon as you let go of the gas, it basically starts to brake. If you can time it right, because it is actually quite easy to learn, once you've learned how powerful the regen is, it does make it super easy just to do everyday driving without ever having to touch the brake. And of course, when you do that, you're feeding energy back into the battery as well. So yeah, one pedal driving, super underrated, really nice feature of this car. Charging. So range anxiety is definitely an issue for some people. I completely get it, but because most of my journeys are pretty short, it's not something I worry about too much. It's just a sort of personal use case for me. Having a charger at home makes it so much easier. Waking up every morning with a full charge is a heavily underrated feature of having an EV. You don't have to worry about going to the gas station, fuel station or whatever and filling up. It's pretty much the same as plugging your phone in at night and having a full charge the next morning. But when I do have to do long journeys, I know I can rely on the supercharger network, which no other car has. Now, of course, cars can now access the the supercharger network. Other cars can access it, but the supercharger network for Teslas is definitely one of the biggest sort of unique selling features, unique selling points of buying a Tesla, because you can see on the screen which superchargers are nearby to you and whether they're free, how much they charge, whatever it might be, any relevant information. And then you can rock up to the supercharger, plug it straight in, and it will just be automatically charged to the card that is registered under your account. Super easy and can be relatively cheap depending on the time of the day. I can't overstate how important the supercharger network is. That feature alone, I think, is worth getting a Tesla over other EVs. It's so reliable compared to any other sort of electric charging network out there. Costs. So people have asked numerous times, you know, how much does it cost to run a Tesla? What's servicing like? What's maintenance like? All these different things. And yeah, it's actually super cheap. It's one of the best things about buying an EV. I also wanted to quickly show the charging stats inside the Tesla app, where you can input your costs for electricity, your cost for fuel and things like that. And we can see here I've spent £69 in the last 31 days, nice. And then we can see the petrol equivalent would have been £213. So I saved quite a bit of money there by just charging at home. Charging at home is definitely the way to go. That's where you save the most money. So I charge my car at home and I have a nightly tariff, and I have it written down here. My nightly tariff is 9.5p per kilowatt hour. So to charge the battery from dead all the way to full, 75 kilowatt hours, it costs me around £7 for a full charge, which is just insanely cheap, because if I drive the car nicely, sensibly, I can get anywhere between 200 to 300 miles. There is also no servicing costs. There's no engine, you know, you don't have to service the engine, you don't have to service the motors, nothing like that. So servicing costs for this car are super cheap. The only things you do need to check, of course, are tires and brakes. But other than that, you're pretty good. It doesn't require servicing like a regular car. I have had to change 3 tyres on this car in my ownership. And yeah, all 3 tyres aren't actually due to like the tread running low or anything like that. It's usually just due to slow punctures, whether that's me going over a nail or going over a pothole or something. That's the only reason I've had to change the tyre. Otherwise, right now, I would probably still be able to have all the tyres on the car. But I don't go for cheap tyres, especially on a car like this. I always go for the performance option. These are Michelin Pilot Sport 4Ss, I think they are. And yeah, they cost around £250 per tyre, which is not cheap. But I would much rather spend the money on a high performance tyre, knowing that I'm going to get good grip, knowing that it's going to last, and knowing that it's also going to do well in wet conditions. But yeah, other than that, there really is no other cost to maintaining this car. It really is super easy to maintain. Battery degradation. So after 3 years, 25,000 miles, people do ask, hey, what's your battery health like? How's the battery on your Tesla doing? So this is the app that I use to track sort of journeys and battery and stuff. It's called Tezzy, would highly recommend it. If we go into battery, we can see this sort of real world range, how much charge I have left. But then we can tap up here to see the battery degradation, and we can see it's currently at 7.2%. So, well, degradation is at 7.2%. My battery health is at 92.8%. But it also says here that battery degradation typically levels off around 10%. So yeah, I'm still actually a little bit away from 10%, so that's actually pretty good. And it also says, you know, if you get up to 30%, you may qualify for a free battery replacement, which is quite nice from Tesla. If I were to change one thing with this car or add something to this car, it would be a heads-up display. I've mentioned it before. I think a heads-up display in this car makes so much sense. I'm really surprised they haven't added a heads-up display. I can't see it being that expensive or that hard to do. It would just make it so much easier than having to sort of look away from the road, being able to have like speed or sort of battery level or whatever on the heads-up display. It would definitely look pretty cool. And I just think when in a car like this, it would also just look more modern. So yeah, that'd be a nice feature to see. I'm hoping maybe it's something they add in the future. We'll see. So 3 years later, am I happy with my purchase? Yes, I'm actually very happy. This is better than I even expected. I wasn't expecting to be this happy with a car. This is the longest I've owned a car. I'm so happy with it that I was actually going to replace it with another Model 3. The only reason I haven't is because the new Model 3s, 3 years later, they haven't really added any amazing new features. They haven't made any sort of big battery improvements. They haven't changed the design massively or anything. That's the only reason. When they do sort of change things majorly, maybe the design or the interior, or they have better sort of battery performance or whatever, then yeah, I'll probably upgrade. But for now, I'm actually pretty happy with it. As a daily car, it is absolutely fantastic. It works perfectly for me. I have been looking at other cars, but nothing really has drawn me away from my Model 3. I really am happy with it. It's fast, definitely fast. Like, that's definitely one of the big features about it. It's comfortable, very comfortable for me anyway, and it's practical. You know, I have enough seats, I have enough space. I always carry sort of my shopping, IKEA sort of furniture and stuff in the back. Yeah, it's a very practical car. I absolutely love it. I'm very, very happy with it. Would I recommend one? So it depends on a couple of factors which I've written down here. Do you have an option to charge at home, so you can add a charging point? And do you mostly do sort of short journeys or sort of short commutes? If you fall into those two brackets, the only thing that obviously could be holding you back is the price. Tesla Model 3s, when they're new, aren't very cheap, of course. They are actually quite expensive, I think. But the used market has been absolutely flooded with Model 3s, because obviously leases and sort of PCPs and sort of financing for them have finished up. So there's a lot of used Model 3s now hitting the market. A friend of mine, actually a neighbour of mine, has bought a model just like mine, a Model 3 Performance, and he bought it for like 36,000 pounds, and I paid 55 for mine. So like 20,000 pounds cheaper. His one has like 20,000 miles on it. So I think that's a cracking deal for a car. You know, you're getting a performance car pretty much, performance level car, but it's also still very practical. I think, you know, if you have the money, if you're willing to spend money and you go to something like a Model 3, you'll wonder why you didn't consider it sooner. So I hope you guys enjoyed this long-term review of my Model 3 Performance. Like I said, I will be keeping it for the near future, as far as I can tell. I will most likely extend the warranty because the warranty does expire at the end of this year. But the battery and the motors and stuff have an 8-year warranty, so I don't need to worry about that. I just want a warranty for sort of other things like electrical issues or anything like that. But yeah, hopefully I have no issues. I'm hoping Tesla update it to maybe make a new design or add a bigger battery or better sort of battery efficiency or whatever. That's my review of the Model 3. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and subscribe for more. Please do subscribe. I love making videos. I love making these videos specifically. And if I see likes, comments and subscriptions and stuff, it just entices me more to make these types of videos. So yeah, thanks for watching.